Hey there, what's up? I'm Dr. Tony, SLP, and you're listening to How to Be Seen, the podcast where a supportive community of marginalized women, entrepreneurs, small business owners, and creatives empower and inspire you to become successful in your life and business by showing up dripping in authenticity. If you like real, honest, raw advice from a self-love practitioner and a collective of women who've done the work, you're in the right place. I'm so grateful to have you here. All right, let's jump in. If the human body can heal its wounds through a natural biological process of highly programmed phases, wouldn't it make sense that the organ responsible for controlling every process in the body has the ability to heal the wounded memories it stores as well? The good news is, the answer is yes. And in this episode, Beyond Mindset mentor Jennie Hayes breaks down this awesome phenomenon. No need to wait any longer. Let's go. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes. Can you briefly give us a little background of who you are and what it is that you do?
Yeah, so I am a Beyond Mindset mentor, which means that I take that mindset to that next level. What I've found is that a lot of the mindset stuff works really, really well, but it's temporary or it takes a very long time. And I use a technique called Brainspotting that helps you to cut that time just unbelievably short to get to the results that you're wanting. And having been a paramedic and been in the trenches with people and seen the mental anguish that people go through with trauma, having been a business owner and been stuck because of my mental traumas, my blocks, my lack of desire to be seen, which is hard to believe because I'm here, right?
Right.
Um, and having been able to use this tool to get me through even quicker is amazing.
Mhm. For those who are unfamiliar with brain spotting, could you please tell us how it differs from other trauma therapies and modalities?
Yeah, and mindset techniques, and it's just different in a lot of ways. So brain spotting is really cool because you don't have to know what causes your block. So when we have these traumas in life, we've got things like big traumas like abuse or little bitty traumas where maybe you were 3 or 4 years old and your dad said something to your mom about money and you didn't realize that's what it is that's keeping you from earning money today. So we don't necessarily know what all these are. Sometimes we do, but our brain stores them. So I like to use a cauliflower. Now, if you actually study anatomy, please don't beat me up. This is not truly anatomical. But if we look at the cauliflower and we cut it in half, the florets, in my case, are going to stand for where memory is stored. Notice it's a 3D. It's
Right.
not like a flat page, right? The next layer down are those stems that we never quite know what to do with. Do you keep them? Do you throw them out with the core? You don't know, right? That is representing our limbic system. That's the place in our brain where we have the fight flight, the fawn response, you know, that thing we can't really control. And then in our case, instead of it being like the brainstem, the core of the cauliflower is going to be our entire body. And so when we experience something, it comes in kind of through that core, right? We feel it, we taste it, we have this emotional reaction to it. And as it comes up, it gets into the limbic system. And the limbic system decides, is this going to kill us if we think about it too hard? Do we need to shut this down or can we pass this to memory?
Hmm.
If it decides that we can't handle processing it right then, it'll stick it in a little time capsule and store it.
Mhm.
Problem is that what it gets re-triggered, it gets reopened. And we see this when, let's say, you're at home with your husband and he says something and your brain is going, you shouldn't be this angry, and yet you just lose it. That is one of those traumas leaking. When you go to work on your business and all you need to do is fill in the blank. For me, It was send a message on Facebook. That was all I needed to do,
Right.
but I kept putting it off. That's that little thing leaking.
Mm,
So brain spotting comes in and using a technique that we're all born with, something we're all born with, which is co-regulation. What the heck's that? Okay.
right.
We're going to divert for that. So have you ever seen a baby when it's learning to walk?
Yes.
What they do is they're walking along, toddling, and then they fall down on their butt and they
Mhm,
look around the room to see who's looking because they're not sure how they should react,
mhm,
right? And so if you get all upset and worried and run over to them, they'll start screaming.
right.
But if you sit there and go, "It's okay, babe, just get back up. You're good," or start laughing, then they laugh and get up and keep going.
Right.
That is the piece that I provide in brain spotting. Is I am that co-regulation. I am the person on the outside saying, "You know what, brain? Limbic system, open that up. It's not going to kill you because I'm right here and
Mm,
I'm going to make sure it's safe." And then this allows the limbic system to process that. You get to finish that memory storage and put it in the florets of the cauliflower. And you don't forget it, but it just doesn't stop you anymore. You
right.
don't have a gut reaction.
Right. Fascinating. Hey there, ladies. Life can be a lot. The deadlines, the demands, the constant hustle. Sometimes it feels like you're running on empty. But what if I told you there's a space just for you? A space to sip, mingle, and recharge. Introducing the Happy Hour Social Series by Be Seen Social. Every Thursday evening, you'll join an amazing group of women for a 6-week virtual experience unlike anything you've ever tried before. This isn't just another workshop. This is a safe space expertly curated for women like you. So head on over to BeSeenNetwork.com to sign up today because your happiness and your health matter. Okay, now back to the show.
And it's so much fun for me. I love it. Love it.
Really, really, yeah. I can tell you do, which is great. Always great to work with someone who really shows up and you can see how much they love what they do. I think that makes the experience that much better for the client. So you mentioned that you do help entrepreneurs with brain spotting and the techniques usually are beneficial to them. How exactly can a entrepreneur benefit from a session or two with you in their work?
Oh my goodness. This is the fun part, right? So often what happens is I will get somebody coming to me and they're like, "I'm just stuck," or "I can't figure this out." Usually they have the knowledge. They've taken the courses, they've looked everything up online, they're in all the groups. They just it's like it's either not computing for them or they don't know which direction to go because there's too many choices. Or like we talked about, they keep procrastinating it, or there's something in their gut that just it's like, oh, this just doesn't feel good. I can't do it. Now, sometimes, let's be honest, sometimes your gut is telling you it doesn't feel good because it's not who you are. And
Mm,
there is a little bit of weeding out in the intake session to make sure we're not trying to cure something that's not a problem. But that's really rare. Okay.
right.
Usually, what it is it's that little block. And so you come in, and so some examples. I think that's the best way to paint this picture. One of my very first brain spotting clients that I tried it out on because I was brand new.
Right.
Um, I'm really big in playing, and so I was like, "Let's play. Let's play with this and see if it works."
Right.
She was terrified to market. She wanted so badly just to tell her physician that she had opened her therapy private practice.
Okay.
Um, and she had been trying, we'd been doing traditional mindset stuff, worst case scenarios, working through the false beliefs. Nothing was helping. So we did the brain spotting. And that afternoon, she had her annual physical. And not only did she tell her doctor, but she called 2 other physicians that she worked with and had a list of 25 people that she was working through that she had known from previous, career. And so it removed that block to networking, which naturally, once we're able to share what we do,
Right.
people can send us people. So she filled her practice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Somebody else came to me, and I think this one's really hilarious. She was like, I just don't know what social media to use. I've got all these different options and I just get overwhelmed. I was
Right.
like, okay. So we did the session, and one of the very first things that came to her was her answer was all in her book. All she needed to do was finish her book.
Mm.
And so we got through the whole session, and I saw her 2 weeks later for her follow-up, and she was like, I don't know, I don't even remember hardly what we talked about, but I have to share this with you. She goes, I am on chapter 7 of my book, and I'm promoting it here, and I'm doing this, and this is just aligning with me. And I don't know if the brain spotting worked or not because I don't even remember what we talked about. And so I opened up my notes and I said, well, let me read you a little bit of our notes.
Mm.
She was like, wow,
Wow.
wow.
Wow. Speechless. You actually answered another question I had as far as how soon do your clients see results after one session, two sessions? But it kind of seems like with the two cases, it was right after their first session.
Right. So you can get significant movement after a single session. And I was talking with a marketing expert, and she was like, you can't tell people that because their BS meter just goes through the roof. Right. Because here, that's something that they've been working on for years. And all of a sudden, you're going to fix it in 50 minutes.
Mm,
And it's like, but that's the truth. And it's not that it's fixed in 50 minutes,
no.
because the reality is you have 2 years of all the rest of the pieces. All you needed is that wall knocked down.
Right. 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 And I can honestly say that we had a previous meeting and the meeting was no longer than what, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, of
Yeah.
course. You were able to brain spot me or basically tell me what you saw when I mentioned a specific block that I had from a childhood trauma and I couldn't see past that particular block. Like I could see the whole memory up until one particular spot and then I couldn't see anything else beyond that. And you told me where my eyes were going as I was talking
Mhm.
about this particular memory. And then you asked me to go through what I was feeling and where it was coming from. And because I am a behavioral scientist and all that good stuff, I've tried other modalities like EFT and things like that for my own healing of certain traumas. And brain spotting is completely new to me. So I was fascinated with it after our session because you mentioned that you even had clients perform the technique of self-spotting, right. You could do some self-spotting to help work through that. So I actually found someone on YouTube who, believe it or not, he was reputable. I believe he's
Yeah.
also from the David Grant School, and he was just doing a little tutorial of how to self-spot.
Right.
And I pretty much did what he said and had my little pen marker and I followed it up and down and all that good stuff. And I actually went to the particular area where you mentioned that you saw my eyes dart. And that's when I started to have feelings and I could feel it throughout my body. And honestly, I started to cry. The more I sat with it and thought about it, I started to cry and I could actually see the rest of the memory.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes, and I was in disbelief, but at the same time, it was just like, no, this is happening. Like, I'm accepting that this is happening. I am seeing it. When it was over, I kind of calmed down and no longer feeling anything in particular. And it stopped. I started to laugh because I was like, wow, I'm here alone. No one's here with me to witness this. But honestly, this was amazing. This
Mhm.
really obviously works. This is a phenomenal, phenomenal technique for sure. I was very tired and I went to sleep.
Yes.
But when I woke up the next morning, I felt pretty refreshed and definitely like just calm. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
um, amazing, amazing. So
It's
I can
it's
actually vouch
insane.
for you too.
Yeah, it's real and it's life-changing. And something that you said about you went through all of it and you remembered everything. So first of all, for people who are afraid of remembering that memory, you don't have to. Your specific goal was to remember the memory, to finish the memory. So there are some people that are like, I had something really bad happen. I don't want to remember it. That's okay. All we need to do is feel the feelings. And if we can feel
Mhm.
those feelings in a safe space,
Right.
which you were able to give yourself, then you're going to be just fine. You were talking about how you started laughing. And that's one of my favorite things is that you start off in this dark, deep place that's like, oh my gosh, this is painful. This is uncomfortable. I don't want to be here. I feel like all I'm doing is complaining, is something that I hear people talk about.
Mhm.
Um, and then you go through this shift, and all of a sudden, this light, this thing happens, this connection.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, when I start to, because I'll trigger you and I'll say, hey, when I say such and such, which is what was bringing you down and making you so emotional in the beginning, how do you feel now?
Right.
And people just start giggling because they don't have that negative feeling anymore.
Right.
And then you can do something. You can move past it.
Yes, yes. So, how
Mhm.
does addressing these blocks and traumas help someone reclaim or rediscover their authentic self?
So I'm here. That's
Mm.
step one, right?
Right.
For me, brain spotting really was all about being seen.
Mm.
I had spent 5 years trying to build a business.
Okay.
And anytime I went to do the marketing, I was afraid to be seen. And I wouldn't have called it that.
Right.
I kept saying, oh, I need to find the right program. I need to find the right thing that's going to help me. I need to figure out what's going to work for me because these things don't work for me.
Hmm.
And the reality was is I was just terrified of being seen for who I am, imperfect. And I can tell you all day long that you're perfectly imperfect.
Absolutely.
I can tell you all day long that God made you beautiful the way you are. And I believe that, but I couldn't act upon it. And so brain spotting helped to break that wall
Mm.
so that I was able to find out what is it that I like to do? What is it that I am good at? How do I present myself to the world in a way that aligns with who I am? All of these things are tied to those little bitty traumas. And if we can wipe those out, then you'll blow past them. And don't worry, if you clear one demon, there's another one. I'm not going to go out of business.
Right.
But if we can get past these things step at a time and grow till we meet another wall, when we get to that wall, we have tools now. And it's like, oh, that's what this is.
Right.
I'm going to go get a brain spotting session, or I'm going to go self spot. You being in a very unique place. I'm not the only brain spotter. I'm not the only way to do it. Do I love it? Yeah. Do I want you to come to me? Well, of course. Do I want you to get well regardless? And if it's not me, get it somewhere? Yeah. That's most important.
Of course. I do know sometimes I am in a specific little genre of the world of folks who can actually take what they've learned and apply it and help to heal yourself because I'm a big advocate on knowing that just
Mhm.
as you did, you
Yeah.
definitely can heal yourself. But there are so many people that need to reach out to start the process because maybe some things don't work for some, but it may work for many. And I have my sister who's yelled at me before and told me, well, I'm not you. I can't do what you do. So I understand. And that's why I would
Uh-huh.
definitely tell her in her case, oh, you need to book a session with Jennie. Okay. 100%. So I hear that, but definitely overall, it is about getting the help you need and
It
healing and
is.
becoming better, personal growth and development. And that's an ongoing process. Like you said, you're not going out of business at all
No.
because we're constantly changing and growing and just leveling up and coming into different awareness. So that's
And
awesome.
there's so many tools. So even in my practice, I don't just use brain spotting. I might use a guided meditation to get you into your body so you can feel your body
Mhm.
so that we can do brain spotting. We might do some tapping. There's so many ways to do that connection.
Mhm.
And it really can be about finding what works for you. I haven't had anybody yet that this didn't work for.
Now, with all of the work that you actually do, helping all of your clients and going through these sessions, whether they're giving you some of the heavy or not, it can be a lot for yourself. So,
Yeah,
what does self love and care look like for you to balance what you do and how you show up for you?
the ocean. When things start to stack up too much,
Mhm.
I always tell my husband, "My mermaid tail is dry. I need
I
to go
love
get
it.
in the ocean." I had been a couple times when I was real little, but it was about 10 years ago that he and I went for the first time to the beach in Texas. And we know there's healing powers in the salt water. We know there's healing powers in the tones of the waves. And then there's also the disconnect from the world. And so going there with him, sometimes with the dogs, seeing all of the wildlife and just getting my feet wet in the ocean. That's my healing place.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much and happy brain spotting.
Yeah. You too. Good job.
Okay, so what I can definitely tell y'all is that brain spotting works without a doubt. If you or someone you know could benefit from having block trauma processed and cleared away, I'd suggest you give it a try. I appreciate you tuning in and learning something new today. If you're interested in joining the Happy Hour social series, a 6-week virtual experience, head on over to the bcnetwork.com. That's B as in boy, the word C, the word network, altogether.com, and check it out. Until we meet again, fill your cup first and share from the overflow. Spread love and light wherever you go. See you in the next episode. Bye. Hey there. If you enjoyed the show, head on over to bcnetwork.com to join the community. Please make sure to follow and rate the show. Feel free to go ahead and take a screenshot to show you were listening and tag me on Instagram at bcnetwork. Let's meet and connect so I can show you some love over there. Thank you so much for being here. Light and love always. Be well.